What's up, Tiger fans? Thank you for joining us tonight. I am Zach Lentz. He's Jason Priester. He's Brad Singer. And we're without one of our fourth member of this team, Will Ryerson, as he has some stuff going on tonight. But we still want to bring you a show. So, guys, let's dive right into this tonight. So, Clemson softball team is ranked 11th in the nation, our highest ranking ever in 2 seasons of existence. I mean, Valerie Cagle, though, has carried this team. I mean, she is just a monster at the plate. She's a finalist for the USA College Softball Player of the Year, a National Freshman of the Year finalist. She is tagged as the number 4 positional player in the nation for the month of April. She's the number 2 pitcher in the nation for the month of April. I mean, she is doing it all on the field. At the plate, she's killing it. She's raking in home runs left and right. She's driving in runs. And pitching, I mean, she's lights out. Here's my thing. I think right now there's not a better athlete on Clemson's campus than Valerie Cagle. You can take Caden Grice in that. You can take DJ Uyangale. All the players are on campus right now. She's the best player on campus. It means more to this team than any player on campus. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, those are 2 different things, Zach. To say she's the best player on campus, that means more to her team than anybody else, are 2 very different things. I mean, I think you can argue both of those things for Caden Grice as well. I mean, he is absolutely
best athlete on campus. Come on. He's nowhere near. Look, he's gotten hot in the last month or so. Yeah, I'll give him that much. Valerie Cagle has done this all season, though. I mean, she has been the rock of this team.
Doing things that Seth Beard didn't do. He's doing things that Seth Beard did do. Like he's right up there with what we consider one of the greatest players to ever play at Clemson baseball. I think Caden Grice deserves his due. Like, I'm not trying to take away from Valerie Cagle, but if you're going to say that the most important to their team, yeah, she probably is. But I think those are 2 separate things we're talking about. DJ Uyangale is the best athlete. He's going to show that in the fall.
Fair enough. Jason, tell Brad he's wrong and that Caden Grice while he's good. He's shown up the last couple weeks of the season. Valerie Cagle is in the league of her own.
Yeah, hey, there's no denying what Valerie Cagle has done. Not just this season, but in her whole Clemson career so far. But she does it all, like you said, at the plate, on the pitcher's mound. She's thrown a couple no-hitters already, and she probably is, as far as each team, she probably is the most important player to that team. Because
I agree with that.
Without her, I mean, I don't know exactly how good this Clemson softball team is, because it's not like baseball. You can run her out there twice every weekend. You can't do that in baseball, but they rely heavily on her, and she has carried that team on her shoulders. And I don't want to take away from the other girls because there's a lot of good players on that team, but she is by far and away the leader on that softball team, and she has earned every bit of all this publicity she's getting of late. I mean, I think she is a legit candidate to win Player of the Year award.
Yeah, she may be the first softball player to win ACC Player of the Year and Pitcher of the Year and Freshman of the Year. So she could take a triple crown from the ACC this season.
Well, I also want to see how this plays out. I mean, we're already going ahead and saying this without seeing what she does in the postseason. That takes you a whole different level. Deshaun Watson was a great quarterback. He became a legend in the postseason. So she can take it up another level. There's another rung for her to go. I was talking with Tim Beret, speaking of legends, not long ago, and he says that she's already maybe arguably the greatest female athlete Clemson's ever had.
Man, that's saying something right there. And, I think there's definitely an argument to be made for that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Tim Bray says, you have to put stock in because he's been around and see almost every athlete ever play at Clemson. So
going all the way back to the McFadden days.
That's right, yeah.
And the Heisman days.
Here's SID for Banks McFadden and John Heisman, I think. But
I believe his first year was Banks McFadden's freshman year, if I'm not mistaken. First year Clemson, yeah, something along those lines.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure he probably has a stat for that too. But
he probably has a stat for our next subject as well. And I did a story earlier this week since we switched over to football already. Anyway, and I took a look at the odds. What's out there? What is Clemson favored by? What are they not favored to do? all that kind of stuff. And I was a little bit surprised when I realized that the Tigers, the last 2 years, have been the overall favorite to win the national title. They've been number one favorite, and they didn't win it the last 2 years. The last time they weren't the favorite was
2018.
2018. What did they do in 2018?
Perfection.
They ran the table. Perfect 15.
I was going to say, hang on just a second, Brad. Let's clarify for everybody. What? Because there are eyes that come out preseason, there are eyes that come out during the season, there are eyes that come out, August, September.
The preseason odds. We're talking about preseason odds. When the season began, Clemson was favored the last 2 years. They were not favored in 2018, the last time they won the national title. Right now, they're number 2 behind Alabama. Alabama's a plus 225. Clemson's plus 300 on DraftKings Sportsbook. If Clemson loses to Georgia in the opener, and I'm putting an if on that right now. We're not calling that game one way or the other. But if Clemson loses to Georgia in the opener, their value will skyrocket because we overreact to things, and the loser of that game, their odds are going to plummet. And all of a sudden, I'm telling you guys, Clemson will be a juicy, juicy bet to win the national title because I think this opener against Georgia is a mulligan for both teams. I don't think either team is out of it if they lose.
Absolutely. Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. Honestly, I don't see how Clemson loses to Georgia from what I saw in spring games and stuff. I think Clemson's hands down.
Really? Spring games?
Yeah.
Spring games?
Yeah. Yeah. The defense that Clemson ran on the field, I mean, spring game was hands down better than at any point last season. I think manhandle Georgia. I think if Georgia can't get a passing game going, then they're going to struggle to score points. I think if you're asking me right now about that game, I say Clemson wins about 2 touchdowns easy. But to your point, I mean, if they were to lose that game, which, like you said, is a big if, I don't see how Clemson can really, remain in the national title hunt. I mean, you're saying it's a mulligan, but I mean, where do they pick up quality wins on the schedule? I mean, who else do they play in their regular season that would give them a quality win?
Well, I think if you have to take into account what happens the rest of the landscape, and right now, I think there are 5 really good football teams that can make the playoff, and I think it ends there. I think we're talking about 5 teams. So if Clemson runs the table after Georgia and has just 1 loss, I know they're going to have a ton of quality wins, but they're not going to take a 2-loss team, and they may not take a 1-loss team who didn't win their conference title over Clemson. That's why I think the Tigers are still in it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Brad. A 1-loss ACC champion is yet to be left out to date. So if Clemson were to lose that game, I think they are very much still in it for a playoff spot. Because like you said, I think there's only about 4 or 5 teams capable of winning it all too. So by the time we get to the end of the season, everybody else will be beat up on each other. Clemson will still be there. Clemson would likely go on and run the table, win the ACC, sit there as the 1-loss ACC champion.
Who do we think are those 5 teams? I mean, you said 5 teams, Brad. Oklahoma, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia.
Clemson, and Georgia.
All right,
there's a steep drop-off once you get past those 5. Steep. I mean, I've seen Texas A&M as the 6th team. Texas A&M has no explosive offense whatsoever. You really think that team is going to find its way into a college ball playoff coming out of the SEC? I don't think so. And if Clemson's – okay, say they're paired against Iowa State. If Iowa State doesn't beat Oklahoma to win the Big 12 and Iowa State's got 1 loss and it's only to Oklahoma, they're still going to take Clemson, the conference champ, over Iowa State. So I fail to see who Clemson is going to lose out to based on this scenario.
I mean, you still have USC out in California. You have Oregon, who put together a great season last year. You have,
now this would be interesting. What if Alabama were to lose to Georgia in the college football playoff and they only have 1 loss versus Clemson, who also lost to Georgia and only has 1 loss but has a conference championship? Now, that scenario would be entertaining to see how it played out.
Oh, that would be wild to watch how that would play out, no doubt.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure if that'd be wild or if it'd be painstaking. That'd be a nightmare.
For our line of work, it would be amazing.
Yeah, for us, it would be great. But I mean, for the playoff committee, I mean, could you imagine stepping out of that press conference? I mean, imagine the hell that they had to go through last season, and they were dealing with all the questions and stuff. Imagine having to step out after that game. I mean,
you know, speaking of that season opener, I saw some early odds the other day that had Clemson as an early 3-point favorite. And I tend to, right now, as we sit here today, I think that's a fairly even matchup. I might get the slight edge to Clemson as it stands right now. And one of the reasons why is because I think this offensive line is going to be much better than it was last season. I think this might be Dabo Swinney's best offensive line to date. They've made a point. They've made a point of saying on more than one occasion they want to get the best 5 guys on the field. I mean, if that takes even moving Matt Bockhorst over to center, I don't know. Who knows what might happen come fall camp. But I think that's what they want to do is get the 5 best guys on the field. And there's some talent here. And I think not having the offseason on campus to gel and in the weight room for all those young guys last year, I think that really hampered the development of some of those guys. And I think they're going to take a big step forward this year. Guys like Will Putnam, Mitchell Mays, Paul Tio, guys like that. I think those guys are all going to – they won't all start, you know, but I think they're going to be in the 2 deep and play a lot. Clemson won't have to just play 6 guys like they did last season. I think they can go 9, 10 deep, maybe even 11.
I think that's going to be the key, Jason. Do they have that depth that they did not really have last year? They did not have trust level in anybody really beyond Walker Parks, and he was a true freshman last year. But to say that they may be the best to date when they just lost a second-round draft pick in Jackson Carman at left tackle is bold. I'll say this. They can't be worse. They can't be worse than last year. And if they don't improve and get better, then some serious changes, some philosophical changes have to come on that front line.
Absolutely. I want to say this. I think that, like Brad said, they can't be worse than last year. But the fact is, I mean, this offensive line, every time we spoke to them this season, or preseason, they were talking about how they had a chip on their shoulder, how they felt embarrassed about last season. They felt like they didn't do their job. And so I think that chip on their shoulder can resonate. I think it can build some character. I think it can build some value in their play. But it takes more than just words to do it. I think they have to have a summer. I think the summer is going to be huge for these offensive linemen to get bigger, stronger, faster. Also, just the simple things of the off-season workouts. I mean, that stuff is big for offensive linemen because it builds the chemistry, builds the camaraderie between center and quarterback, and also, I mean, just the team mentality. I mean, we saw how it can destroy a team at times in the past. We've seen it, and we've seen how it can gel a team together. But I really think that, Jason, if this is the best offensive line, I think you're looking at more than an even matchup. And these 2 teams get there. I think that this is probably a 2-touchdown, 3-touchdown win.
I think from a health standpoint and from a depth standpoint, from a talent standpoint, you might have some legitimacy here, Jason, with this bold statement, because from when you look at the stars, I'm not sure they've had this many blue chip type offensive linemen ever in the program. So now it's about development. You got them to Clemson. Now can you turn them into something special, something great? Jordan McFadden will be the anchor this year. He's the senior or the veteran, leader guy. And if they can build, around that, and some of these young guys you mentioned come up, I don't know if I'm going to say it could be the best Dabo's had, but I think it could set up for even better year next year.
Yeah, a lot of people think, in recruiting circles that getting those blue chip offensive linemen on a consistent basis, that was one of the last steps Clemson needed to take to really cement themselves as a power program or whatever you want to call it. And I think they're in the process of reaching that over the last couple of cycles. Like you said, I think there's more talent on this line, if you look just at star rankings and stuff like that, and there has maybe ever been under Dabo Swinney. And now they got to develop it, like you just said. They've got to develop it now. And if they don't, then some changes, like you was talking about, philosophical changes or whatever else.
Yeah, I think we know. I think we all know what whatever else means, but we won't go there in this edition of the All Clemson Show.
Exactly. Yeah.
Before we get out of here,
people's jobs and families.
Exactly. Well, before we get out of here, Zach, how many points would you give me right now in the Clemson Georgia game if I want to take Georgia? How many points?
I give you 12 and a half.
You already said 2-3 touchdowns. You wouldn't give me 14 and a half?
All right, I give you 14 and a half.
Look, I'll take 14 and a half right now here on May the 6th, 2021.
All right. Look,
I might take that one myself. I might take that myself.
Listen. In the press box, all right, sit in the press box in spring game for Clemson. I had a conversation.
The spring game doesn't matter.
No,
the spring games do not matter.
Hey, I'm not talking about spring game. I'm just saying where this happened, okay? I was talking with another member of the media. They said they spoke with multiple people in Georgia's camp. They said that if these two teams played today, they would take Clemson 28-3. That's how little faith they have in Georgia.
Yeah, but that was in April. I mean, there's a lot that can happen between now and September. Look, I think Clemson wins the game, but I think a 3-point to 5-point spread is a little more accurate about what it should be. And to me, the difference in the ball game, if Clemson wins, is going to be that their receivers are better. I think all these big time games are decided. Go back and look at all the big time games that we've seen over the last 3-4 years. They come down to the best receiving cores. And I think on paper, Clemson's is far above Georgia's right now. But I wouldn't be completely shocked if Georgia's receiving core turned out to be pretty doggone good.
Mark the tape right now, 16:37 on May 6th. I'm saying Clemson wins by at least 17.
Woo! All right.
That's right.
I have written it down. Yep. Mark the tape. We got it. And we will revisit this 4 months from now.
That's fine. We can. That's fine. Listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As always, I want to remind everybody, if you haven't done so, be sure to like our YouTube page. All right, it's where we post Death Valley Daily, our daily show. And look, we crunch the numbers, we do the math and stuff. Clemson's chances of winning a national championship go up exponentially if you like our page. So be sure to do that. And look, for Brad, for Jason, y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow for our Friday edition of Death Valley Daily. Have a great weekend and a great night.